States with marijuana-friendly laws now in a tricky position. This week, Attorney General Jeff Sessions rescinded an Obama-era non-interference policy for states allowing sales of recreational and medicinal marijuana. CNN's Scott McLean takes a closer look at what this means.
This is a family company.
It is.
9 members of your family.
3 generations.
Andy Williams owns a growing marijuana enterprise, a business that exists because Colorado legalized pot and because of a handful of Obama-era memos.
I give him credit. We would not be here without President Obama right now.
Pot may be legal in Colorado, but federal law puts it in the same category as heroin and LSD. The Obama administration never changed the law, but essentially told Colorado that it would look the other way. But this week, Attorney General Jeff Sessions wrote his own memo to U.S. attorneys rescinding those guidelines and putting the multi-billion-dollar marijuana industry back into a legal gray area.
I had an employee come up to me today worried about her job. I have investors calling and saying, oh, what's going to happen with our investment?
Colorado Republican Senator Cory Gardner called the news extremely alarming and accused Sessions of going back on his word. Sessions' deputy didn't offer much clarity.
What the Attorney General has done is simply to say that the Department of Justice has full discretion to enforce the law.
Those decisions will be left to U.S. attorneys like Colorado's Bob Troyer, who promised there will be no changes in enforcement. In conservative-leaning Greeley, Colorado, where marijuana dispensaries have been outlawed, Police Chief Jerry Garner is no fan of legal pot, and he likes Sessions' law and order approach, but even he is in no rush to crack down.
I've got other things that are more important, quite frankly, for my officers to be doing than chasing this guy down with a joint. I don't have enough time for my officers to be federal drug agents.
We didn't have any warning that it was coming.
The news came out of the blue for Colorado's Attorney General Cynthia Coffman. For now, she says the status quo will remain, but maybe not forever.
That's true because it's not in the hands of the state attorney general. It's in the hands of the U.S. Attorney General.
She's promised to defend the growers and dispensaries that make up Colorado's marijuana industry, even in court, but she can't guarantee the outcome.
These folks didn't go into business with marijuana lightly, I don't think, or without the realization that things could change. But the reality of it is still a shock.
Andy Williams agrees, but despite the news, he's not bracing for impact, he's planning for expansion.
If you don't have a high risk tolerance in this industry, you probably shouldn't be in it.
Scott McLean, CNN, Denver, Colorado.
I want to talk more about Jeff Sessions' decision concerning legal marijuana. And joining us now, Colorado's Governor John Hickenlooper. Governor, good to see you, and thank you for being here with us. I know you did not support legalizing marijuana for recreational use initially, but voters passed it, so you accepted it. You had to move forward with regulating it. Did this latest move by Jeff Sessions come as a surprise?
A little bit, just because I'd gone and met him last spring in Washington, and he was very direct, and I think candid. And he said, I mean, his opinion was that he doesn't believe having more people consume more drug of any kind, marijuana, whatever, makes this country stronger. He thinks it makes it weaker. And he said, we have higher priorities. We've got heroin issues, we've got sex trafficking. We don't have the resources to pursue the marijuana, but I'm not going to do anything that encourages in any way more people to get into the marijuana industry, more people think it's a good idea. So
do you feel like you were betrayed in some way?
Yeah, I mean, I saw Senator Gardner's comments, and he, you know, you were led one way and then led the other. What he really said in this, last week was that the U.S. attorneys are free to go ahead and prosecute if they want to. Our, Bob Troyer, who's U.S. attorney in Colorado, said, I've got these, I want to go after the black markets and the gray markets and the guys who are growing marijuana and shipping it out of state, the real threats. I think that's what most of the U.S. attorneys are going to do. So I think this was a shot over the bow, but maybe, I don't know, maybe more bark than bite is certainly what I'm hoping.
So when we look at how this has become such a huge economic boost for Colorado with the marijuana legalization, with Colorado alone selling more than $1 billion in marijuana last year alone, do you see that at risk at all?
No, I mean, it might get, there's going to be some more caution, but I don't see it as at risk. And just to be clear, it's not a big economic boon. I mean, we're hundreds of billions of dollars, so a $1 billion addition. to the economy is not that big a deal, to be blunt.
It helps.
Well, it helps, but more importantly, it changes all those same jobs of growing or procuring marijuana, packaging it, selling it. They were all done as criminals before. Now, roughly the same jobs are done and people are paying taxes. And that's a big difference, to get people to obey the law and to have a system where it's not common, it's not a common activity to be criminal. And I think that's a step in the right. I mean, I was against this in the beginning, but we haven't seen a big spike in teenage consumption. We've now got tax money we use to market to teenagers to say, when your brain's growing rapidly, this high THC marijuana can take a sliver of your long-term memory every time you use it. I mean, we can really connect with kids.
Right, you're using that money to help educate, to help enforce, again, more of a security issue, as well as paying for new school construction, and so you're putting it toward education. Let me pivot to another issue facing the country, and that is, what will lawmakers do about DACA? I know this is another area that's important to Colorado because of the Hispanic population there. I want you to listen to Senator Tom Cotton this morning, because the issue of immigration and DACA is a sticking point right now in the budget negotiations. So watch.
We can have a government shutdown at the end of January?
I don't expect to have one. I certainly don't want to have one. But if the Democrats want to shut down the government because they can't get amnesty for illegal immigrants, then they're going to have to defend those actions to the American people. They didn't do that last month, and I suspect they didn't do it because they know that amnesty for illegal immigrants without any real reform is not popular.
Governor, what do you say to Senator Tom Cotton or others who believe protection for dreamers is amnesty?
I think they're twisting the facts. Most of these kids came when they were 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years old. They didn't have any choice in this. They're certainly not criminals in any sense. And most of them don't have any home to go home to, right? They never knew another life in another country. So they are a unique subsection of people that don't have the proper documentation. To make them political pawns and part of a negotiation, you give us this or else we're going to do that to these kids, it's grim. It's not the way politics, it's not the way politics are supposed to work.
Is it worth shutting down the government over DACA?
No, but it's not worth making it a bargaining chip, right? I think DACA is something where if you got it on the floor, I'll bet you there are over 320 votes in the House that'll support it, and I'll bet you there's 65 or 70 votes in the Senate, large majorities in both houses of Congress to support it. So why is it that it's got to be a bargaining chip? There's somebody trying to get something else that's not connected to it. Don't get me started. I'll get into
Get started. We like it when you get passionate, Governor. Do it. Let me ask you, this might get you to frenzy or get you excited. The election year and the many predictions from political experts, the polling showing good news for Democrats. It's looking good. Some are predicting a blue wave. I know you aren't running again because you're term limited there in Colorado. I've seen the Democrats find some unity against Trump, but are they defining enough what they're for?
No, I think they are. It takes, when you have a lot of voices and you're trying to have a larger tent, it's like having an orchestra. Right? The conductor can't immediately make great music. So all those different instruments, all those different voices have got to be harmonized in some way. And I think we're beginning to see now common threads, core values that are about civil rights and social justice, but they're also about jobs and not leaving people behind and making sure that this new economy that's coming forward, that there are jobs for everyone in it. And I think at least I've seen this over the last 3 months or 4 months, more and more Democrats coming around these same, again, social justice, everyone, fairness has got to be part of our landscape. But more and more we're seeing jobs talked about. And I think that's going to be the future for successful Democratic candidates in all parts of the country.
Who do you see as the leader of the Democratic Party right now?
Well, I think we have so many leaders. Obviously, Speaker Pelosi, former Speaker Pelosi is, I guess you say Minority Leader Pelosi, has been a leader for so long, but there are also so many other leaders and young leaders. I talked today with a guy named Hakeem Jeffries, congressman, and he is so thoughtful and so insightful. And we have a whole generation of young leaders coming up.
Do you want to be the next leader of the Democratic Party on a national level? Will you run for president in 2020? I know I've asked you this before, but you haven't ruled it out in the past, so have you made up your mind?
We've got 1 year, 370 days, I think, as of tomorrow, to get, we're doing some apprenticeship stuff. We're doing economic development stuff, I got to stay focused 100%, like a laser, focused on this last year. And then we'll see. I obviously want a lot of what we've done in Colorado. I think this has the potential to be a model for the country, and we want to make sure that we have a voice. But for the next year, I'm not going to do a big fundraising thing. I'm not going to set up networks. I really want to make sure we finish strong.
All right, Governor, we hope that when you decide to make your decision, you'll announce it right here on my show first.
Fair enough.
The Being from Colorado. All right, you heard it here first. Governor Hickenlooper, so good to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Good to see you.
And of course, Colorado's home. So I say hi to my family for me. Still ahead.